Ugh, I hate starting out videos like this, but I do need to make a small announcement where everyone will see it. Guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna need more time to get GDR number 2 finished. Please don't fucking kill me! I'm sorry, I thought I could have this hammered out before June ended, but I had a move happen in the middle of things, some personal stuff came up, the ability to do a Switch video came up way earlier than I was expecting, and with a potential 10K sub special lingering on the horizon, guys, my review docket is total chaos right now. For my own sanity, I had to push this back just a little bit. I want to wrap up most of the other stuff that's in my inbox right now, like the Switch vid, some of my Patreon reviews, etc. But the new loose goal for GDR2 is by the end of July. Once I get more caught up on other things here and on Game & Crash, we'll get full rolling on that. I'm sorry if that disappoints you guys. I know, it sucks, but I would sincerely appreciate your patience here. Like, really. I know a lot of you are aching for this, but I want it to get done right, so please, just kind of bear with me for a little bit longer here, okay? Okay. Now give me 5. So I kind of fell into a spot of good luck here. 2 albums that came out this week were actually Patreon requested earlier in the year. Yeah, you see that little Patreon link in the video description? You can totally follow that, pledge $20, and if you pledge for at least 1 month, then you can get maybe your own request reviewed on the show. I don't know, neither here nor there. Shameless plug, shameless plug. But yeah, this gives me the opportunity to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here and take some weight off my Patreon request load. And the first one we'll cover here is Royal Blood. Now, I did vaguely remember stumbling across this band a few years back. The album cover sure as hell looked familiar when I looked these guys back up, but for the life of me, I couldn't remember what their music actually sounded like. And once I heard the opening notes from How Did We Get So Dark, I remembered why I'd forgotten all about them. Oh yeah, it's just another blues rock duo. You know what I'm talking about. These groups sometimes get labeled as power duos. It's the type of act that the White Stripes perfected, and the Black Keys went on to run into the bloody fucking dirt. Not every band like this is the Black freaking Keys, though. A good power duo can find unique and interesting ways to hold your attention. Death from Above, 1979, does it by blowing you away with their instrumentation. 21 Pilots does it by supplanting keys, synths, and artificial beats to create their unique spin. And Diet Sig, well, they do it through the sheer power of absolute charm. Oh my god, guys, I love this band. Look at them, I can't even. But the problem every strict duo act has to face is how to maintain a sense of originality and impressiveness while there's just 2 of you on stage. I mean, yeah, a decent amount of these groups do sound the same, but man, there's only so much you can do with 2 instruments, you know? There's only so much a guitar, a set of drums, and 2 insufferable hipsters are capable of. And does Royal Blood stick out in any way? Well, on this album, yeah, I'd say so, a wee bit. And they do it in a way I don't think I've seen up to this point. See, this band consists of Ben Thatcher playing drums and Mike Kerr tackling vocal duties, and bass. Yeah, bass. This band is nothing but bass and drums. And yet they don't count as a drum and bass act. Funny how that works, eh? And since these guys are basically nothing but a rhythm section, their rhythm is crazy tight and efficient. I mean, this album just clobbers you over the head with how punishing, thick, and deep its melodies can get. Kerr's bass is cranked all the way up to 11, and to his credit, the dude plays his bass as well as most people play guitar. He's definitely not the stereotypical Hard Times editorial Glenn Fricker rant video kind of bassist. Nah, dude can hold his own. And Thatcher is a very good drummer. He lays down a lot of power and works his kit very colorfully and proficiently. But again, he pretty much has to, you know? This is a duo. His contribution is literally half of the soundscape. Homeboy can't afford to really phone it in here, and thankfully he doesn't. The composition of this music is fairly good too. It's definitely blues rock, but in that kinda sleazy, satisfying kind of way. There's definitely a Queens of the Stone Age vibe here. It isn't a, direct homage or anything, but you can tell these guys probably ripped a few pages out of Hami's notebook. Not the first band we've covered in the year to be doing that, mind. That notebook must be getting pretty tattered by now. And while I do certainly like this album for what it is, it still is what it is. It's a power duo, blues rock affair. Apart from the gimmick behind it being a 4-string instead of a 6er, there's probably not too much here you haven't heard from other groups. I mean, don't get me wrong, there is a subset that's probably going to adore this album. I even bet you'll see this make a few album of the year lists here and there. It is very, very solid for what it is. I'm sorry, I'm just not a huge fan of the genre as a whole, if I can be truthful. I mean, I gotta be in the right mood to listen to the White Stripes, for God's sake. So if you're gonna duo it up, you're really gonna have to think outside the box to impress me. I mean, for all its strengths, it falls into a lot of the same trappings that most in its genre tend to. The songs can get a bit samey feeling, there isn't really anything too deep, enriching, or thoughtful going on. And given that the band is purposefully limiting themselves by just being two dudes on stage, I mean, there's only so much they can do, you know? It's good for what it is. It's very good for what it is. If you dig this scene, this is definitely going to be a must-buy. As for me, I think I'm just more of a Diet Sig guy. How can I not be, though? They're so goddamn cute! Oh! How Did We Get So Dark gets 3.5 dimmer switches out of 5. Oh boy, Crash is about to review a Nickelback album. Get your helmets and cover the first 5 rows in tarps, cause chunks are about to go flying. Look, I get it. Believe me, I do. Nickelback is a band that gets a lot of hate. They're the cool band to hate, you know? The ones it's okay to hate on. Even though, well, they generally seem like nice enough guys. They always play and perform a decent show, and even they seem to have a decent sense of humor about themselves.
You know, I did read on one website one time that you guys are goat fuckers. You guys fuck goats?
We make love to goats.
Yeah, don't.
I mean, it's like Patton Oswalt once said in one of his more recent comedy specials.
Do you know what people do for money and pussy on this planet? They do horrific shit. The guys in Nickelback said, what if instead we went, look at this boo-da-boo?
Nickelback isn't the worst band in the world. Really, they're not. But guys, look, they may not be the worst, but in my opinion, they still deserve a lot of the flack they get. Their music usually either falls into the so bland you can't even remember it immediately after hearing it category, the so laughably bad it's pathetically hilarious category, or even on that rare occasion the oh my god this is actually skeezy and rapey is all fuck ew 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 category. They don't write interesting or complicated melodies, they go out of their way to make sure 90% of their stuff is as homogeneous, safe, and bland and non-threatening and ready for radio as possible. And Chad Kroeger's voice sounds like he's blowing an entire box of Brillo pads. I don't necessarily begrudge anyone if they happen to like this band, but I sure as hell don't begrudge anyone who feels compelled to hurl cinder blocks through Chad Kroeger's windshield for making Photograph a thing, you know? So all that having been said, why the hell do I dig Nickelback's new album so much? Yeah, people, I'm not kidding. I'm not trying to pull a bait and switch here. Feed the Machine is honestly, genuinely, no bullshit, pretty good. Yeah, no fooling, I can hardly believe it my own damn self. Well, I mean, there's a lot I like about this album. For one thing, for a Nickelback album at least, it's risky as all hell. There are more than a few tracks here with lyrics that take a very pointed, angry, intentionally political stance. One that is still left vague enough so that pretty much anyone can relate to it. You know, it's not really pointed at anyone directly, but I mean still, it's more than I expected Nickelback to do. This is something that could have severely alienated some of their fan base, but they were bold enough to take a shot at it, and even though it's no rise against, it does work, it is effective. Some of these songs, like the title track and Silent Majority, do strike a weirdly poignant chord and deliver an earnestly thoughtful message. Again, I'm kind of grading on a curve here, but I've heard better bands do worse than this. It's not just the themes and lyrics either. This music is pretty heavy. Like, this is probably one of the heaviest albums they've ever recorded. It's all huge and domineering power chords, massive thundering drums, and even some soloing here and there. Like, pretty decent soloing, no less. And they didn't even have to lift the licks from Dimebag's corpse this time, so yeah, holy shit, golf clap. Golf clap. Even Chad's vocals, a really big sore spot for me, are actually a bit more tolerable here. He still sounds like he swallowed a hamster covered in sandpaper before rehearsal in places, but the production does a fairly good job of cleaning him up this time, as opposed to, last time. And he sounds like he's actually making an effort to actually sing, and not, like, guys, this is so weird. This is probably the best thing Nickelback have done since The State. And believe it or not, I actually really liked The State. The State showed potential back in the day. It showed us a band that was still really rough around the edges, but with a little more polish and a bit more musical development, they could be something huge. And while we did eventually see the polish, we never saw the musical development in these guys. In fact, in that area, they actually seem to regress with each passing release. I think No Fixed Address was a breaking point for them. That album sucked, even by Nickelback standards, and even a good deal of their fans weren't digging disco, auto-tuned, Flo Rida-verse Nickelback. This album shows a massive course correction for these guys, and I'll be damned if it didn't work out well for them. Like, I'm not kidding, people. I liked this album. I'm probably gonna spin it again when I get the chance. And while it wasn't without its cringier moments, like Must Be Nice. Oh dear Christ, Must Be Nice is fucking awful. Like, it's really bad, really bad. It's nursery rhymes with profanity slipped into them. Not even kidding. Chad, for the love of God, stop writing lyrics while you're high. Just because it works for Dave Matthews doesn't mean it'll work for you. Stop it! But in spite of that, its highs still far outweigh its lows. And again, I'm kinda grading on a curve because while the things that make Nickelback albums difficult to sit through are greatly diminished here, they still aren't completely gone. Seriously, fuck Must Be Nice. But man, this is an album I never thought we'd get from these guys. And I have to give them points for the effort. Like, serious points. Credit where it's due, fellas. I might even have a place in my 2017 honorable mentions for this. Like, yeah, I never thought I'd see the day where I would tell you to check out this new Nickelback album, but yeah, check out this new Nickelback album. It's pretty damn tight. Feed the Machine gets 20 cents back out of 25.
Nickelback, it ain't Pol Pot.